Good afternoon. Welcome to a playoff match here in the Link to the Past Randomizer Leagues. We are in the playoffs for Season 4. Quite actually exciting match here between the Lane and Ravis. This is actually quite a treat for you guys. Not only do we have two amazing runners here from Germany, we actually get a very uncommonly seen mode here. I believe actually this might be the Invitational League debut for Ambrosia, so this is going to be really fun, quite challenging, and certainly quite creative. That we're going to face. We're going to face, some things on our runners here. I am Claire Mouse, joined here by fellow teammates of Air 216, Ari. Ari, how are you doing? Are you excited for this race?
Excited, a little nervous, but yeah, really looking
Nervous? Why
forward.
would you be nervous?
I mean, I have all the faith in my teammate, but I know that Ravis is an excellent runner, and I'm not actually sure if this is like the first time that these two race. They may have met in like one of the various German tournaments as well, but someone else might have may have to check that.
Yeah, actually, I was actually going to ask you if you also knew this is because I know that, so certainly, both Ravis and Blaine, as you said, very excellent runners, fixtures here, both in, multiple, German community and certainly in the main tournament. They've met together in many tournaments before. Actually, just even recently, they were both in SGL 2021. I'm not even sure if they actually faced each other, though. I know that Ravis, though, has certainly been practicing, certainly, gearing up for a very formidable teammate. And certainly, based, of course, on our scorekeeper, and of course, a recent, playoffs game 1 with of course, Aerie versus Dragon. Aerie, of course, ended up taking, an early lead for game, officially 2, but I think it's just game 1 of the best of 5 series. And so certainly, Ravis is looking to tie up the score. But of course, if you are on team Air 216, we're certainly hoping that Lane will extend this team's lead.
Air 216, let's go! I mean, I'm not biased when it comes to this race at all.
Of course not. No. We're here for some fun, good entertainment. And you know what? And this is actually, what better mode or entertainment we're gonna get than watching these two runners play Ambrosia.
Yeah, it's a very spicy mode. It's just like 7-7 defeat Ganon. With big key shuffle, except for the GT big key, which will be played somewhere in GT. And all the bosses will have a non-dungeon item, so like a guaranteed item, be it a piece of heart or a progression item, who knows, but at least so it's not like a key, a compass, a map. So we'll see if that's going to trick our runners once or twice. It's actually pretty tough to keep that in mind when looking for items or when to stop full clearing a dungeon.
Yeah, no, okay, so looks like actually we have some two pretty common starts here, at least heading up to 12 Woods. Both runners are very quickly rewarded with that elusive ice rod. So I guess, we must have gotten a map check here because it looks like Dark, our awesome tracker, has already marked a lot of Dark World dungeons. Yeah, so it looks like, though, we do see Turtle Rock is not only a crystal, it is a 5/6 crystal. So certainly going to need that ice rod today. And, of course, the good news for both our runners is that we don't have to go on an ice rod today because that was like check number 3 or something like that.
Yeah, it depends on who you're asking. I think for Valena was check number 2, actually, and for Raves was the first like chest he opened. So that's
Okay,
that's
yeah.
a great start. Great start.
Yeah.
Gonna farm some bombs here. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy match regardless. Like inverted definitely can have some really wacky starts. At least we start with a sword, so that makes the early clearing a lot more feasible when it comes to like going into Skullwood, Thieves Town. Maybe even like early Pod or Ice Palace sometimes visible in inverted. But yeah, I would say the first objective is to get Light World access as soon as possible. And from there on out, it's, pick your poison, the entire world will be open.
Yeah, no, so this is going to be one of those, I would say, the trademark features of the inverted mode is that, we do start on the Dark World, we do see how it doesn't really actually matter. We're still going to be on 3 hearts initially, and, those of you, of course, who are more familiar with, non-inverted or more or less like the open or standard modes where you have to start with Light World. Dark World doesn't really care about how much health you have. Every single enemy is still going to pretty much do 2 hearts of damage, like those robots, or pretty much anything else here in the overworld. So certainly it's going to be a bit more dangerous. But our runners though, as part of this really nice mode for Inversia is, as you mentioned, Ari, we do get to start with a sword, and starting sword sometimes is like, oh yeah, cool, we get a weapon, but it is certainly, I would consider to be more underrated here in Inverted, just because you do see that we're certainly more familiar and comfortable with the sword. We can kind of fend off whatever we need to, but also in case we want to kind of try and go back to, let's say, clear out Beast Town, have you ever tried doing, let's say, like Hammer Blind on 3 hearts, or Cane of Berna on 3 hearts? It's not one of those like really I would say more practiced moves, but hey, with that sword, we're gonna just feel a lot more comfortable taking out a boss.
Alright, well, we got a very spicy hype cave out of Ravis. We found a book, a lot of rupees, a glove, and a moon pearl. So it's not going to be like a really wacky, oh, the moon pearl is going to be on Sahas for last seed. We're going to be nice and comfy. Like once we get Light World access, we actually just are able to traverse the Light World as normal. So that's nice.
Yeah, so as you said, so it looks like actually we have a moon pearl, we have a glove, so we are most of the way there to our Light World access. We're gonna need, certainly in this case, gonna be okay. You know what? We have our Light World access. That early hammer, off of Stumpy from on Ravis' side is, man, we've got super early Light World access already, and actually I would say one of the sighs of relief that sometimes inverted runners get to breathe this time is that they don't have to go kill Aghanim, at least for Light World access this time, which seems to be somewhat common, at least for inverted seeds.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, oh, nice first dig as well. Okay, Ravis is out of here, probably going to go into the Light World. There's a huge amount of options. You can do South Shore, you can just go to Kakariko, clear that. Yeah, I have no idea what the best option would even be. There's just so much to do.
Yep, and this is another one of those features of Inverted, is that, as you said earlier, the highest priority, of course, for runners is to be able to find our Light World access, and, so Ravis has already met that first priority, but hey, we're here in the Light World, we're going to kind of want to look for some direction, because once we have Light World access, especially because we have both Hammer and the glove, right, that is so much accessibility open to us already, unlike, I would say, more like, standard stars, not inverted, so when we start with nothing, right, only, sphere, whatever, 0 or sphere 1 checks are available, but, with those glove and hammer, we have just so much more open to us, so it's certainly going to be a lot of decision making for people.
Yeah, and Rave's probably deciding whether to go to the desert area already. There's a couple of checks there with Agina and Checkerboard Cave being open in the Light World as well, and with a little bit of front access to the desert. Of course, he might want to wait until he gets like the big key and the fire source as well in order to be able to full clear it, but it's so hard to tell.
Hey, speaking of, yeah, so we get our first big key to Palace of Darkness. Okay. Oh, looks like the Lane has already actually, back on the digging game, it looks like he's already actually claimed his prize, but he is looking for perhaps a little bit more money here, or maybe just a couple more resources that he can try and get out of the digging before he eventually has to save and quit.
Yeah, actually kind of surprised he goes for the save and quit. He could have also just walked to Stumpy and then continued to Hype Cave, but I guess both ways can make sense.
Yeah, so speaking of, so on Ravis' side, looks like he's already putting that Ice Rod and full Magic Bar to use. Actually has a pretty dang good aim for those mini Moldarms, because Ice Rod, I mean, really with anything, to kill those mini Moldarms from with a ranged weapon is very impressive. And you know what? Ravis is actually rewarded with a Master Sword, of all things, here in Mini Moldar Cave.
Yeah, very spicy start so far. There's it only opens up the world more, it opens up all the Zora checks as well. Yeah, we have an abundance of options, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Like,
Yeah,
bro-
this is yeah, and this is part of the fun for runners. Is that you get to make lots of decisions, right? For better or for worse. This is I guess in some case I would say more the paradox of freedom, right? Is that sometimes you really actually want only one or two options open to you because you only can make one decision, right? But for something as open as inverted, this can certainly be both in your favor and not in your favor at the same time. Because you have to basically hope that you make the right decision, right? Out of like 10 options, there's only 2.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, with a mode with like big key shuffle and so early on, you probably don't feel as bad just picking whatever because it's so likely that everything will be cleared anyway, also by your opponent. So I don't think either runner is going to feel really bad with whatever decision they make right now. It's mostly like once you did the really dense overworld checks, and you might have to start picking a dungeon that is not completely clearable. Like, say we find like mirror hookshot and we don't have the Swan Palace big key yet. Like, do you go in as a pendant? Do you like maybe try to do the front of path first? Like, there's a lot of questions still.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and just like with any other randomizer series, whether it is inverted or not, you sometimes will still have to face some questions like, do I end up dipping this pendant dungeon or not? Just for in case if there is something like progression. So this is also partly interesting in the lane's, I would say, early investment into digging, right? We are actually looking at some group accounts here. Ravis right now he's checking some of the flipper chats that because he ended up picking some the flippers up from Mini Moldrum Cave. He is around 150 rupees short of what we would like to go and see and pay off Sora. The lane though is pretty dang close though, with almost 500 to his name. So this actually could be, a difference in checks here for the lane if he decides to try and chase some of the water ones.
Yeah. Neither of the runners have a bomb, so that's a little awkward. But Rayfus is going to go to North Light World. Very sneaky teleport there.
Yeah, this is, I mean, unofficially, of course, that is like the NMG portal, just because, we certainly do see that when we want to come over from Lake Highlight Island up to, North Light World area. So it looks like the Ravis with that glove is probably, might be interested in checking out maybe like the back escape here, along with some Light World checks. We do see certainly one of the differences here in Inverted, including, let's say, like K45 and Graveyard Ledge. Typically, you would need the mirror in order to access this from the Dark World. But you know what? If the mirror doesn't work that way, we need to go from the Light World to the Dark World. So this is just kind of like we get an automatic staircase, basically, up to these caves.
Yeah, Graveyard Ledge also is very nice because it has 4 bombs in it, so it's a nice way to quickly farm some.
Yeah, but looks like
both runners talking up a little.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we do have a little bit of divergence here. The lane decides to actually, after checking out the dam, we're gonna make our way over to Kakariko. Of course, this is probably still a bit earlier than normal. Maybe we reached Kakariko, but of course this is gonna be very item dense. We are gonna basically check out all of the goodies that we have. Meanwhile, Ravis has found a bit more money in the back of Escape.
Yeah. So both inching closer towards the maximum required money. Soon they'll not have to worry. Okay, Fallain. Yeah.
Yeah, Fallain, he would like to get as maximum value from his bombs from the shop vendor as possible. Sterling can understand that he wants to be able to carry all 10 bombs out of the shop.
Okay, I guess I can't judge. Right. So back of Escape really paying off. Well, I guess it's literally paying money, but no real progression. So we're still waiting for a little bit more.
Yeah. And, certainly, and, one of things I think that runners are trying to keep in mind, at least when routing Light World, is that the standard or the typical, more common ways to try and get around is that, especially if you're kind of used to, I'm going to explore this area, let me save and quit and go to one of the normal starting points in Light World, right? Sanctuary or a Link's House, in order to try and just, do some overworld movement faster. Doesn't quite work that way in Inverted just because you have to start in the Dark World, and while we do have all access to all of the 8 Light World portals, it's definitely going to be much more overworld traversal in the light world, just because you don't have those convenient saving locations.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that Kakariko well was pretty brilliant. It had both bows in it.
Where do you think we're going to be headed here? You know, Harry, we from Kakariko and this nice bounty of mini bows, both the regular bow and the silvers. We have the hammer, we have a glove. Any particular areas that might pique your interest?
It kind of depends. Like, I'm not sure if Blaine is willing to commit to 4-heart pod without a lamp. Like, I'm sure he can do it, but I'm not sure if it's like super comfortable. He might just decide to clear a little bit more overworld that he assumes Ravens will do as well before like immediately diving into a dungeon like that.
Ooh, you do bring up a very excellent point. As of course we've seen earlier, we are actually here a little bit lower on health. Looks like Gravis has a little bit of heads up, extending his health lead over the lane with a very impressive 5 hearts versus 4. But yeah, as you said, Ari, even though we have, let's say, like the items that are accessible and letting us essentially full clear pod, without that lamp, of course, getting back to, like, let's say Helma's Sword, actually, finding everything that we need could certainly be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah. And of course, lower hearts make death warping a lot
that is certainly a good point. Yeah, especially without the mirror, which is actually one of the pretty major items that our runners are both certainly look for. Not only, of course, does it let you route dungeons faster, it is certainly going to give us a lot more access and efficiency when going through both light and dark worlds.
Yeah, that's for sure. Mirror probably is a little bit. It's hard to really give it a definitive statement like that. I would say it's a little bit less important than it is in normal modes, like inverted. You have a lot more caves that are open immediately in the light world anyway, like Graveyard Legend K45. But it does open up things like the back of Turtle, which might be hard to get to otherwise as well.
Oh yeah. There's certainly going to be a lot of differences, and this is actually, I think, one of the nice things about the playoffs, is that at least certainly during during the regular season, right? We've seen a lot of some pretty cool modes, but certainly more or less we did have a lot more, I would say, like evergreen modes, right? Open, casual boost, of course, we certainly do have that in the playoffs here, but as part of some of the other modes that are available to us, such as Ambrosia, or like Swordless, these modes. Lesser seen, but certainly really going to test our runners, both creativity and adaptiveness, right, to these different types of modes.
Yeah, definitely. He's really close to Zora money, so you would think he wants to get to at least 500, but he might just commit the pod anyway and think he's going to get the ones in the basement, the blue rupee floor, and make sure he gets the 500 that way.
And it's certainly, just with regular type of desert palace things, right? Even though Ravus and of course the lane both have the book, so they can't access the front of desert, but ideally we would really like to be able to go from there. Let's say with the fire source, and of course we certainly don't have the big key yet. So maybe especially without a faster way in order to get over there. Let's say like the boots, getting kind of over there multiple times is not really too appealing.
Yeah, definitely.
That's actually, speaking of, just like another point of of note, right, is typically when we want to go to desert, one of our options, of course, is normally you would, let's say, if you have the flute, you would flute over to spot 6, right? But unfortunately the flute doesn't quite work in the light world, it works in the dark world, and so fluting over to 6, what is our probably most convenient way to get over to Desert Palace, isn't really going to be on the table for our runners today.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while before they have really fast access to that area, so that's gonna be pretty interesting.
Ooh, the lane here. Setting up that Asiliphic Flipper first tries is quite nice. He has not been over to Mini Molder Cave yet, which is of course where Ravis ended up picking up his flippers. But you know what? The lane knows his way around the overworld in the light world, in his water portals. He definitely that was actually a really nice shortcut in order to get back here to South Shore.
Yeah, definitely probably saving a little bit of time over just saving quitting, going back into the portal, so that's a nice little shortcut for sure. Rave is going to make his way into the front of Escape. We already have seen the back. So we know that there is like still a small key somewhere, but he's just going to hope that it's in Dark Cross and that he doesn't have to Death Warp and make his way over there.
Yeah, and right now, of course, as you previously said, without the mirror, death warping, on more and more, the more help you get, the slower it is. And I believe actually it looks like also according to the tracker, both of them picked up blue mail pretty early. So those 6 hearts, especially here in Escape, the enemies here are like world enemies. They certainly do less damage than you would certainly like to if you were interested in death warping. And speaking of, first chest here at Escape here is going to be the small key. Unfortunate.
Yep. Yeah, that blue mill wasn't Link's house actually, so it was hard to avoid.
Alright, well, at least hopefully, Ravis, maybe the fact that he still has full health, maybe that might end up changing his plans. I guess we're gonna have to see.
And maybe he just gets the mirror.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, maybe, he could just find the mirror here in Escape. Oh, we do find a pretty nice big key, though. That is certainly going to be one of our requisite big keys for the seed, big key to Total Rock. Rave is also showing off some pretty cool game knowledge, is that if you have the Ice Rod, then you can actually one-shot the blue guard. So it's pretty nice faster kill.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool little time save. Not something that is very obvious. The Ice Rod will just destroy blue guards, but not the green guards.
Yeah, and I believe actually that was actually one of the reasons why you could not end up getting. We can actually not have a standard Ice Rod weapon because in this case it can actually kill the blue guards, but you can't actually do anything with the green guards, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, and we got a red mill as well, so this probably makes Lane a little bit more comfortable with regards to pod. So that's cool.
Yeah, and right as you said, this is going to be pretty nice safety because red mail is very lesser seen, especially in more or less harder modes. But at the same time, might make death warping and the basic traverse around pod a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, looks like Ravis did skip out on the Dark Cross skip or on the Dark Cross check, and is on his way over to pod, which makes sense. It's full clearable. Might be a little bit dangerous, but 6 hearts blue mill might be okay. It's definitely better than 3 or 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Star arrow doesn't pay off though.
Yeah, looks like it though. But of course, this is of course one of those lesser seen things as well. In more or less standard modes, but of course inverted. We don't really get as much convenience here with saving quitting, so the lane is going to swim out, trying to save him a little bit more time out of the Zora area.
I'm wondering where he wants to go now, actually.
Maybe the lane wants to end up finishing up some of the water checks that he has left. Looks like he maybe wants to go to Homo, or at least check out, Lake Hylia Island as well.
Okay, I guess.
Looks like the lane is actually just going to be thorough, so maybe he'll, after some of his world checks, he will eventually also go back to the Dark Worlds, and maybe, follow here in Ravis's footsteps. We did see a small key, in Palace of Darkness. Of course, we don't have to necessarily worry too much, because we do have, in this case, both bows, both Sylvan arrows, and we do see actually, because without that mirror, it looks like Ravis is not interested in trying to death warp out, so he's going to do a lot of walking here in pod.
Yeah, I mean, until we find the boots, is definitely going to be a lot of walking.
That's also true. Both runners, of course, have the Master Sword, which is certainly going to be really great for offense. We would certainly like to see that tempered, but of course, we're half an hour or 20 minutes in, and we would really, really like to be able to move a little bit faster with those boots. Ravis, though, meanwhile, finding the Fire Rod, so at least the back now, he's going to have a little bit more help if he wants to be able to light some torches in case he doesn't want to do, let's say, Dark Turtles.
Yeah, it definitely makes Turtles Room a lot more convenient, just actually being able to see in case of urgency where they're just hanging out. If it's completely in the dark, it can definitely make for a rough room, but the Fire Rod just is very convenient, especially when you find it in pod. Okay, Sahasrara also. All these combined checks, like the Zora area, Sahasrara, not really paying off for Playing. Ravis, meanwhile, Just steadily clearing pod.
Yeah, looks like actually the lane does get a little bit more health, so his pod dip eventually is going to be a little bit more comfortable. Looks like though the lane, as part of his Light World tour, is going to at least explore the rest of Eastern Palace. Unfortunately, it looks like he does not have the big key, so he can't full clear this. Of course, unless, of course, if we find the big key, in Eastern Palace here somewhere. But if he's gonna end up getting stopped eventually or prematurely, he will have to, look for other options.
Yeah, definitely an interesting decision to just commit to Eastern, but I guess he just doesn't want to make his Light World trip be for nothing, I suppose. Like, he's already here, might as well. Otherwise, it would be like another walk over and then taking the portal.
Yeah, no, and of course, again, right, this is going to be one of those things where sometimes, to go to Eastern Palace, if you had the flute, you would just, let's say, let's flute to spot 5. That's not going to be an option here in Inverted. And of course, if the lane, hits the jackpot, let's say, and finds the mirror, then he can actually just mirror right over from Eastern and do pot.
Yeah, so, that's very optimistic.
One can certainly hope. Yeah, it looks like so far we haven't really found anything really impressive here in Eastern. Ravis is definitely having a turtle party, but at least he's lit up a couple torches, so it wasn't all completely in the dark.
Yeah, and with 6 Heart Blue Milk going all the way to Helma. Helma won't be an issue. Phase 1 is definitely no problem. And then you have Silvers for Phase 2. So should be pretty easy fight.
Oh right, we do have silvers. That is an excellent point. Because I was even thinking like, well, typically speaking, when you come here, especially let's say for like NG, you have the boost, you can actually set up spin speed to make your life a little bit easier. But here we don't actually have to have that, so we're gonna have to use the hammer the old-fashioned way, but might make phase 2 a bit more sketchy. But as you said, Eric, we have silver arrows. We don't have to care too much. Helma goes down with one shiny arrow to his tool.
There's the guaranteed item. First guaranteed item we find in Ambrosia so far, but nothing important yet. Yeah, like so far, like after we found Light World Access, we found a couple of progression items, but nothing like really spectacular. Like we found flippers, fire rod, max's sword, a couple big keys, but
yeah, you certainly bring up a good point. So like, we did find flippers, of course, in Mini Muldrum Cave. But it looks like actually both of our runners have exhausted the flipper checks, which haven't really led to anything. And of course, it does open up Ice Palace in this case, but that's in the Dark World.
yeah, Ice Palace is actually full clearable now, though. Now that you mention it, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it looks like actually we did end up finding the fire rock, so of course that means we are going to be able to get in. Looks like Ravis is going to... He looks like he wanted to set up the hammer jump, but maybe couldn't quite get the pixel alignment in time.
Yeah, it would have been nice and efficient if he did get that hammer jump off, but like it's definitely no skin off his teeth.
Yeah, certainly very reasonable approach here, for Ravis, just because, again, we don't have the mirror, so, getting basically over to, we were already on the right side of the pod, and, so may as well take down Helma, and then, of course, you get a free warp back over to the beginning of the dungeon, so now you can basically take this trip, which is very convenient, warp to the beginning, and try and explore the rest of the backup pod.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to save and quit out of the big chest, and then proceed from there. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ravis go to Ice Palace after this. There is not a whole lot that's like completely full clearable. He could try to commit to Green Pendant Skullwoods with that fire rod as well.
Yeah, that's certainly another option. And as you pointed out before, Ari, so as part of this mode, right, we do have a guaranteed item on the boss. So especially for green pendant dungeons, right, we do get that green pendant off of Mothula, and we also get an item. So it could actually be a bit more lucrative, or he's further incentivized in order to at least clear out the dungeon, or at least the boss.
For sure. Ravis get a little bit lost in Dark Maze, but
yeah, this is unfortunately this room unfortunately is one of those rooms where the only light that you can have is from your sword if you have one, and those fireballs that the Kadangos end up spitting out.
Yeah, if you get hit, you can definitely get very disoriented and just lose yourself for a little bit.
Alright, that looks like the lane has made his way here down to escape. He does actually have significantly less health than Reva, so potentially, and he did end up picking up, of course, you know, the first chest, which was the small key. So there's some potential here for him to potentially death warp and figure out what's in Dark Cross, which in this particular case, Reva's did leave that item behind. Oh no, did Reva's end up?
I think he might have intentionally death warped actually and just tried to try again. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, in this case, because he ended up, I guess maybe like getting lost or something in Dark Maze?
Yeah, possibly. Unless I really missed him getting all the items, but I really don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he is back in pod, so, and we do see
Oh no!
open. Oh no, the lane!
That was a bit premature!
Oh no, well, you know, hopefully this is only going to be some minor mental damage. It looks like the lane, of course, especially without those boots, is definitely not going to go over back here to Zelda Cell. We know from Ravis' side is that, you know, it was, I think, 10 arrows or something. I mean, it's definitely not, you know, worth the lane's time, but, you know, so if he never goes back, it's not going to hurt him, but hopefully he just kind of put that out of his mind for the rest of the season.
Alright. It does look like Ravis is on his way to get a blue pot, and then possibly just dives into Ice Palace. Yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised if pot was like the direction the game wanted you to go, and Ice Palace is definitely the next logical step with that fire up. We already have the big key, we have some flippers. So we're going to be blinded for a little bit. This dungeon is always so bright.
That is really true. Especially in contrast, right? The lane was doing Dark Cross, but it looks like we got 3 bombs out of it. So, you know, in this case, you know, both runners leaving one item here to escape is not going to hurt both of them. They just have to, again, put it out of their minds and just pretend that that chest doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Alright, the lane of course. So finishing up his actually quite extended Light World tour. Going back into the Dark World, looks like he is going to follow Ravis' footsteps and explore the rest of Pod. Ravis taking care of the Pin Gators actually quite nicely. Some good knowledge here with the Quake Medallion. Quake Medallion, of course, does kill Pin Gators in one shot, but you have to make sure that they are all on the ground. So Ravis actually timed that quite well in order to clear out that room.
I gotta make sure they're actually sliding.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so Flame's going to be tracing Ravis' steps for a little bit, so let's focus on what Ravis is gonna find. We're going to go through the good old NMG route, going for a little IPBJ action.
Oh man, imagine not having the King of Samaria. What are these runners going to do, Harry?
I'm almost surprised that they actually committed to this because of that. You could decide to like go up on Death Mountain for a little bit, get that same quick point as well. Like, it's definitely not the worst idea.
Oh yeah, no, that is certainly a good point. You know, we do have mountain access with those gloves. Of course, you know, we're gonna need potentially you know, some sort of light source in order to logically get there. But you know, we've seen from both our runner sides that the lamp is not an issue at all. Of course, we already have the fire rod, so if we never see the lamp, you know, today, I don't think either of these runners are gonna care.
No, definitely not. Of course, there's a little bit of incentive to wait with Death Mountain as well, just maybe until you find hook shots to make sure that everything's actually clearable. Well, except for Turtle Rock, I suppose.
Of course, one thing to keep in mind for inverted, so getting the old man saving quit point isn't going to be too bad, and just because, you know, chances are you are going to have to do it at some point, so it's not going to be, you know, any time loss. It's, well, of course, one of the, you know, lesser goals, I guess, of inverted is trying to limit the number of times you have to go climb that mountain, because, you know, if you thought climbing Death Mountain in the Light World was tedious, oh boy, do we have a treat for you in inverted.
Yeah.
Alright,
yeah.
The lane looks like he visited the middle of the key chest, did pick up a heart piece, which I don't believe actually did Rivers end up picking that up as well? Maybe he just
I think it was just Dark Maze that he skipped. Like, he did after the Death Warp, he went to the vanilla big key chest and got that heart piece and then save and quit out.
Okay, cool. Alright, so okay, so we are basically still, looks like we're still on track in order to get everything. So Lane has gotten everything so far that Bravus has, but I guess we're gonna have to see if he ends up finishing out the rest of this dungeon.
Yeah, especially with that mirror, what Ravis did made a lot of sense, just going straight to Helma first, because you don't have to worry about like death warping and going back to this area. Or having to route in a way that it is hard to actually get back to Helma. Oh, but he does decide to just do the back first.
So Ravis is still making his way through Ice Palace, and of course, you know, without Icebreaker doing the more or less the previously traditional method of getting through Ice Palace with the Ice Palace bomb jump, is that we are going to have to do this dungeon front to back. So see some tongue pulling of that statue. Nothing of real note though so far that's found.
Well, here's the big chest. Let's see if the big key brings anything. It's another big key. The desert, okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have our fire source, and we have the big key of desert, and we have, of course, the bogus entry. So, that potentially could be a next stop over for Ravis.
Yeah, of course, we'll have to wait if, like, beating Lamo is in logic or not until we see what's on the torch, if the small key is on the torch.
Oh yeah, no, that's also another good point, Ari. Seeing so many, you know, casual boots, you know, seeds out late, sometimes I just kind of assume that these runners have already started with boots, but you know, the fact that we have seen no dust kicked or any dashes, you know, from either of our runners kind of still means that, you know, Desert could potentially be boost locked, and that actually could be an issue.
Yeah, it's still probably the next logical check to make, just because, like, the Lamo is beatable anyway. It's just like whether it's like in logic or not.
Yeah, no, you certainly do bring up a good point. And, you know, so as I think we mentioned before, Desert Palace is not really one of those really convenient locations, you know, to get into an inverted. So it's certainly very reasonable if Ravis wants to try and, you know, potentially, you know, maybe find boost before he makes the commitment over there to Desert. Alright, how tricky is this fight going to be here on Bravo? So he's got, you know, he does have blue mail. He hasn't picked up red mail yet from Waterfall Fairy. He's got the hammer. He's got some, you know, fire rod shots. I think he has a blue potion, and he's on Master Sword.
He'll be fine, especially with the fire rod dupes. Yeah, he's gonna have so much magic if necessary. He's going to play it safe, immediately drink the Dooku. Just has to make sure that he doesn't get hit too much now, but yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, very nice fight.
Yeah, no, it's also good thinking on Ravis' part as well. You know, he didn't actually have quite enough magic, the full bar, in order to break Colster's shell. Of course, no bombos in sight. So he took advantage of his full health, and you know, ended up, as you said, Ari, taking out doing some fire rod dupes in order to break out the shell, and then saving some of that magic in order to, you know, use for Colster Part 2. Alright, so that is, yeah, that was gonna say, that is crystal number 2 down for Ravis. It looks like he is starting out in Link's house, or his house, Sonic's house, and then we're gonna take our, you know, trusty portal here over to the light world, which is typically seen, and maybe this is gonna be his next play over the desert.
Yeah, would make sense. Definitely taking a solid lead in this race so far. Flame does have like a couple of checks over Ravis, but none of them have really panned out so far. So I think it's pretty safe to say that until Ravis kind of gets into a rut when it comes to his dungeon clears, like if one of the dungeons doesn't give like a clear lead on what to do next, yeah, he's just going to keep this lead so far.
Yeah, I mean, we still, you know, we're, with the start, Ravis is also showing us that with that book, and of course another change here in Inverted, it is that, you know, in addition to, let's say, K45 and Graveyard Ledge, you do need the mirror to access this tablet, but, you know, we're Inverted, we don't need any mirrors to access light world locations, just like K45. Alright, Ravis is not going to go over to K45 and Ganon first to check out Desert, but it's going to be another one of those conveniences here in Inverted.
Oh, there's another Bicky.
Ooh, alright, so this is pretty cool. We've seen a lot of big keys out in the open so far. Certainly very convenient.
I wonder where we're gonna go next.
Alright, Elaine, picking up his first crystal. He did end up full clearing pod. I don't actually, unfortunately, it looks like he got anything useful. I think the big key, sorry, the big chest in pod actually just yielded a single arrow, so unfortunately no real value here also gained for Elaine. But he does have, you know, some peace of mind in that he doesn't have to come back to pod ever again, because there's nothing of value left in this dungeon for him. Ravis, though, on the other hand, you know, he does have another opportunity to come back, you know, in Eastern Palace, because he does have to clear out that dungeon. But if we don't have the mirror, you know, that could certainly be something, you know, on Ravis's mind. Well, is that good news or bad news, Ari? You know, the good news, I guess, is that Desert's not, you know, boots locked, but the bad news is, I guess, there's a sword on the torch.
Yeah, you have to wonder that if we ever find boots, if we're gonna come back just for that sword. It's gonna be a hard sell, maybe if you find student mids, but oof. However, it's not something that's immediately reachable. Also, Flame's gonna give us a few new checks as well that are kind of slow without the boots. So let's hope if this finally is something that pays off for him.
Yeah, and so actually, yeah, it looks like there are actually some comments here in chat. Raylas, though, with the big key at hand, you know, to Desert Palace, he is going to come back here and claim his next crystal off of Landmos, but we did notice that he had actually not made a check to the big chest in Desert. Certainly, hopefully, it's just going to be a minor oversight, or if he, I guess, intentionally skipped it, it's not going to be anything that's going to hurt him.
Well, apparently, like, because of Invitational, like, if he found 2 items, he knows that the last one will be on the boss.
Oh,
So
yeah,
probably
that's
some mode
true.
knowledge right
Oh,
there.
that is an excellent point.
So yeah, Elaine did find powder on the pyramid, which would be kind of an out-of-the-way check to follow up on. So
Oh man, because we've already been over Kakariko, and yeah, really anything in the light world is just going to be ever so slightly more inconvenient, just because we don't have good access in most of the light world areas.
Okay.
Heck, wow, okay, that is a really nice find here on Landmos from Ravis. That is going to be the King of Samaria. Certainly would have been kind of nice to have for Ice Palace, but you know, that wasn't really going to be an option.
Yeah, that wasn't in the cards today. Wow. Yeah, Catfish not paying off either, so Rave is just gonna continue with his tear through the dungeons, and yeah, like, I guess right now, like, after these 2 checks, he's going to have to pick something that isn't, you know, like, particularly easy. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna go to the next crystal dungeon. There is no real option for that. So he might just either decide on like a couple of overworld checks, like Sahasrara, Zora areas, like things that Fallen already checked. Might just go to the back of Skull Woods, because he does know that there's 2 items there, plus the green pendant. And that would be nice to combine with Sahasrara as well.
Yeah, and of course, you know, as you did mention earlier, you know, we still can't go up the mountain. At least, you know, we'll have physical access to it, and that is something also maybe that Ravis is willing to consider. Looks like though, Thelaine though is, you know, hot on Ravis's trail. You know, he is here in Ice Palace, arguably Thelaine's favorite dungeon. Looks like he has bombs out, so we actually might see a slightly different strat here to take down Pen Gators.
Almost.
Almost, yeah. Oh, but that was a really nice bomb recovery, though. At least the third one that basically just kind of held together and ended up taking the rest of the Pen Gators out as well.
Yeah, definitely good recovery. Alright, we're finally going to see Vintage of Outcast from Raven's side. He hasn't done that either.
Oh, wow. Oh yeah, that's right. Both runners were here earlier. I believe Thelaine actually decided to dip into the front 4, I think, of Thieves Town before kind of checking out. Maybe Ravis, you know, will have a better read at this point if he wants to, I guess, make a further commitment here in Thieves Town.
Well, you won't really have the chance to without the big key.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. That is also going to be a minor detail there. Man, clearing out Ice Palace here really makes you miss boots. I would really hope that these runners are going to find boots soon. Although, you know, actually combined though with the Lane and Ravas, they've actually cleared out a good amount of this world.
Yeah, there's definitely not a whole lot left that's like directly on the way, especially with Lane doing all those out of the way checks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm kind of surprised we haven't found a lamp yet, to be honest.
Yeah, a lamp would actually open up. I mean, you know, it does, you know, logically unlock, you know, a good amount of things. Like, well, for one, it would certainly unlock, you know, the backup pod, which of course both of these runners have done. You know, seeing that it's not going to be an issue, but yeah, mountain access would probably be the major one.
Yeah, not that we have like a lot to do on the mountain yet, but just having the option and the save point there is just really nice.
Yeah, and so far we're still missing, you know, a good amount of access as well. You know, we don't have mids, although mids, you know, hard lock doesn't actually really lock too much. Unlike I would say like more, you know, more normal things. I think it unlocks I think King's Tomb, I think officially, but you know, it does certainly open up a good amount of convenience. And for example, like we don't have access, you know, to the Mire area, even though we do have like the big key. And of course, on Ravis' side, he found the King of Samaria, so we would like to be able to access that dungeon. But you know, we don't have the flute in order to get to that area in the Dark World, and we don't have a mirror in order to get over there from the Light World. So,
I mean, Turtle Rock might actually be accessible, depend if the medallion is quaked, because you can just hop on the tail and then
that
open
is
it up.
also true. That is also true as well. You know, as part of one of the nice things about inverted, quote unquote, nicer things about inverted, is that when we end up eventually getting up to the mountain, we do have a little nice staircase that we can climb in order to get over to East Dark World, East Dark Death Mountain.
Yeah, after the 40-minute food check, we're going to see Ravis in the back of Skullwitz. Going to get his 2 items. So, well, it might only be 1 item. The item could be in the big chest, of which we haven't found the big key yet. But it's at least, like, Mafula at least is a guaranteed 2 items, so that's nice.
Yeah. And he's going to have the green pendant, as you mentioned earlier, so we are going to be able to turn that in. So maybe that might incentivize actually Ravis after this to go over to the Eastern Palace area as well.
Yeah, and then we'll definitely have to see whether or not Ravis decides to dip into Eastern as well, without that big key.
Alright,
Alright, so there is an item in the big chest. Interesting.
Yeah, Ravis is, of course, trying to set up his Death Warp. Another one of those inconveniences that we don't end up having because we don't have a mirror. Link, though, he's finished up most of his trek here in Ice Palace, so he's going to be able to go down to Cold Stair relatively quickly.
Yeah, we'll find his desert big key in just momentarily, and then we'll make his way off to Cold Stair.
Yeah, it looks like also, you know, somewhat in contrast to Ravis, he does have a full magic bar, so he doesn't have to be necessarily like as creative. But you know, as you did point out earlier in Ravis's fight, the more, especially you know, being on Master Sword, the more fire rod shots you have, it's certainly going to be the nicer phase 2 gets.
Yeah, I don't think Flame has a blue goo or something, so he might have to be a little bit more careful with his magic consumption. Very clean fight.
Yeah, taking down Mafula with that hammer ends up picking up something that we don't really care about, but it is an item. But of course, we also have the green pendant, and you know, another thing that inverted, even though we do have the book, we cannot check that is still here.
No, yeah, that is definitely something that is a lot more out of the way to check inverted.
Alright, Elaine, on his own Cold Stair fight, looks like though, you know, he actually did a pretty dang good job of keeping those puffs in the corner for actually quite a number of hits. A good number of hits here.
That's 1. That's 2. Yeah, that should be easy cleanup. Probably a little bit slower than Ravis fights, just because of like the sheer amount of magic Ravis had with his blue goo, but that's still That's still really nice.
Yeah, and the lane also has a bit more safety, you know, both physically and mentally as well. You know, because he does have that red mail, so probably not going to be, you know, as a conservative in this case as Rave has had to be, you know, because he was only on blue mail.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, with regards to chat asking like what we have left, we don't really have a whole lot. Just like combined between the two runners. We haven't seen the powder turn in yet. We haven't seen Sahasrara. But other than that, I'm kind of hard pressed to really find anything that either runner hasn't done yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's actually a good reminder, Eric, that the lane ended up picking up powder that Ravis actually does not. So that is going to be something else. Maybe that'll further incentivize him to go back at least to Factory Cup. It looks like the Ravis, of course, is going to try and finish up the rest of his checks. He does have Zora money now, so he is back over here, kind of wrapping things up. You know, we did see on the lane side that there was what, a heart piece or something like that. But at least Ravis is going to be able to check off a couple more boxes on his tracker.
Yeah, and this definitely gives a little bit of time back to Flame as well, like where they're tracing each other's steps now, but Flame is actually progressing his crystal camp, whereas Ravis is just sadly finding not too much in all these checks that do look pretty profitable, but yeah, just don't amount to anything sadly.
I'm not sure if paying 500 rupees is really considered that profitable for that heart piece, but you know, to each their own.
I mean, it's definitely profitable for Zora. That's,
yeah, that is true. It all depends on perspective.
Alright, so now I expect to see the green pennant turn in, and yeah, I'm really curious as to where our progression is going to be.
Yeah, because, you know, we don't have, you know, as we said, look, we're still missing, I would say, like a couple major access points, you know, that need to be unlocked, right? You know, we don't have the lamp, so logically speaking, you know, the mountain, of course, is not there. We actually don't have, you know, Mire access, the Mire area access. So we really kind of need something else from the game here in order to point us to, you know, a more definitive direction.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Rivis hasn't done Darkcross yet, so he might
Looks
just be
like
coming
he's
back for that now.
back. Yup. Ooh, is he actually trying to take a little bit more damage? Yeah, he is on red mail now. Looks like he is actually trying to preemptively take some more damage.
Let's hope he doesn't make the same mistake that Flame does and get warped too well.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, so, you know, as things we're going to see very shortly, we are going to come across some dark roots, so we're not going to actually see what we're going to do. Of course, you know, Ravis does have the fire rod and a full magic bar, so if he really wants to, he can certainly light the torches. But yes, even the best of runners, even on red mail, can death warp prematurely.
Does seem like Ravis is playing it accordingly properly safe.
Yeah. Alright.
And he's gonna pick up his bombs and then probably make his way over to Sahasrara, finally. After me saying he's gonna do it 3 times, this might actually be the time.
I mean, well, this is the, you know, thing that I think runners are really trying to keep in mind is light world routing, right? And especially right now, you know, we don't have boosts, of course, going to make to our traversal a bit more faster. You know, we don't have the hook shot, which also can make things a bit easier from screen to screen. But in terms of actually getting from area to area, though, you know, we do not have the flute here in inverted for light world. So really, actually taxes our runners to try and be a bit more creative and really think about, you know, their decisions basically, because, you know, sometimes, of course, with the flute, you know, you can kind of mass things like, oh yeah, I'll just flute over here and, you know, it'll be fine. But in inverted, it's certainly going to be a lot more tangible for you to make the right rounding decisions.
Okay, I think Flame was trying to bait you there.
I saw the switch. You know what? But the lane looks like he is opting for speed in this race as opposed to some nice NMG throwback. But, you know, nevertheless, he does pick up his Canis Amaria, and he picks up his next crystal.
Yeah, and Green Pennant apparently was one of the answers. It did have the lamp. So, we'll see. It does look like Raver is actually just going to commit to Eastern as well, though, so just giving more and more time back to Flame. And
Yeah,
at
no,
the
yeah,
end of
so
the sequence, it's gonna look real close.
yeah, no, this is really true. So, if you are, of course, on, Team Air 216, and, this is going to be certainly, nice because at this point, Ravis and Delane are somewhat balanced because, they're going to, after this, basically do, somewhat basically the same things, right? And presumably then, Delane is also going to go back basically to Skull Woods and basically clear things out. Or if he decides to basically, think that, well, I think maybe Sahashala or something out there has the lamp and that's going to be our next item, he can just sequence break out and go up to the mountain.
Yeah, and we're going to find out pretty much within the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say because this actually looks, very similar both, to the path of Skull Woods and up to the mountain. But you know what? The lane is going north, so this actually looks like it's going to be a mountain logic sequence break.
Yeah, also probably means that he's not going to find the lamp ever, possibly.
Oh, yes, yeah, that is certainly very true. But if he at least mentally commits to, what, the lamp is what is going to be my logical lock to the next parts of the game, and that's going to be definitely to his advantage.
Yeah, definitely. He's kind of leapfrogging a part of the seed right now and just kind of taking the lead for a little bit. As much as you can say that at this point of the seed, there's still so much left. We're on 3 Crystal E, and we still need quite a few items.
Yes.
Or big keys, rather. Like we would at least like either mids or hookshot in order to get proper Death Mountain access. And yeah, like mirror or flute and mids in order to get access to Mire. But we also won't need to actually get into Mire, so like hookshot or boots. So there's still a couple of
right. That's a good reminder. We're so focused here on the medallion entry inside Misery Mire, but this isn't one of those boot start modes. We're going to have to need some actual entry inside to the next couple rooms of Mire, which of course, as you mentioned, is going to be either the boots, hopefully, or the hookshot.
A couple of combinations that we might still need, but yeah. Plus a couple of big keys, Eastern big key, Mire big key. They're still... We're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, no, those big keys unfortunately do not logically lock too much stuff, so they really can be they can really be quite elusive in the seed. Alright, so it looks like Bravus, though, is finishing up his last loose ends. It looks like, though, he is finishing up Eastern Palace. Found the same no value that the lane ended up picking up earlier, and it's like he, with that lamp, is going to logically access the mountain. So he's going to go through the motions of rescuing the old man. It's going to be probably very shortly here behind the lane. Unfortunately, as you just mentioned, we don't have boots or hookshot, so really nothing of value that we can really get here in Hookshot Cave. So Lane's just going to open up the rock, at least, with the entry. Going to check out what's in Super Funny Cave for him.
Yeah, then he'll probably be checking if you can get into Total Rock or not.
Yeah, I guess it's also our first time over here, right? In 50, almost at like the hour mark. So, without the mirror, also, we can't actually end up seeing what's on Floating Island. So, nor can we get it at this point.
Yeah, I'm so used to getting here at 12 minutes and finding out that it's like I got access for Light World, and it's like, yeah, sure. Wow, what a surprise! It's Quake for Total Rock.
It is Quake, yes. Alright, so the lane's gonna be able to open this portal. No myths, unfortunately, means we cannot get to the light portal quite yet, but you know what? We have the Canis Mario, we've got the Fire Rod. We have the big key to Turtle Rock, and we have both rods, so you know what? We're going in.
Yeah, at least the front 3 chests are checkable. There is no guarantee that there's a small key in here or in the Charms chest, so we might be locked out at some point. But it does look very probable that at least some sort of progression is in here. And other than that, we haven't seen Spec Rock Cave yet. Flame did save and quit right after rescuing the old man.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not in here, Flame might just save and quit and go all the way back.
Yeah, Yeah, it looks like though Ravis is going to be a little bit more thorough than the lane, and as we're seeing here, trips up to mountain, dark or not, is certainly can be quite the journey, but Ravis wants to make sure that he has every piece of knowledge. This husband looks like actually pretty consistent. Ravis has been trying to follow the logic relatively smoothly, right? He went all the way to the back of Skull Woods to try and clear out the pendant dungeon, getting the green pendant and making sure in this case it was indeed the lamp that was unlocking the next pieces of the puzzle for the scene. The lane has decided to try and at least take some positions and hope, right, that in this case it was actually the logical lamp that gave him access up here.
Yeah, of course. There's still a very, very small chance that none of this is progression and it's actually the powder. But with
that is also very true.
But with 3 small keys in the front, I'm not really expecting that to be the case.
Yeah, yeah, and given that we also haven't seen some of also like the major ticket items, right? Myths and mirror, right? That would end up giving us some more access to different entry points of Turtle Rock, right? Certainly looks actually very reasonable that the game is actually going to give us a bunch more stuff in order to let us progress.
Oh no, this muscle memory.
Oh,
that's actually pretty painful.
Oh man, yeah. So Ravis looks like, of course, he wanted to, go up the mountain and the dark world. But of course, this is inverted. So if you take a portal, it's going to make you open the light world. Of course, with no mirror, he can't get back. And Ravis is demonstrating just how much extra scenery we get by going up the mountain another time.
And another time.
I do applaud, of course, Ravis, for not having to talk to the ball, the ball, his friends up here.
Oh, this is another thing, actually. Didn't think about Spy Cave, but yeah, that definitely exists. He wanted to quickly farm a fairy just to make sure he doesn't have to waste too much magic, because... Well, I guess there's magic in Super Bunny Cave. Alright, is there a big key in Vanilla Lava Chest? We'll have to see.
Yeah,
okay.
I was gonna say Ravis looks like he's taking no chances. Not quite sure if he would have actually made it. I'm not sure at the very end, but the mental damage that Ravis would have endured would have definitely been much higher than especially that he did have a potion, right? So he definitely could have guaranteed himself that item check.
Wait a second. We didn't find the big key, right? There was 3 small keys in the front, then there was Bombos in Chomp's chest, and then there were 10 arrows in the lava chest. So we're just locked out of Turtle Rock now. And there's...
We have the big key, I thought? No?
Oh, we have the big key, it's Ambrosia. I'm dumb. Good morning, everybody.
No. I mean, it is inverted, right? It not only tests the the runners, it also tests the commentators to make sure that things are straight.
See, good thing that it's Falain playing and not me.
That's right. Oh yeah, actually, I meant to ask Harry. So this is because the lane is the pendant of power player. This was the lane's choice, right? In order for this mode, this was the first time that people actually got to pick the modes.
Yeah, this was Falain considered this the least bad mode out of
bad. out of all of the options, huh? I actually did think though, the inversion mode, actually I thought it was very apt for your team actually in order to play this mode because, of course, Ambrosia is inverted plus Ambrosia. Ambrosia, of course, was from a fellow Era 216 alum point. I believe he actually gets credit for actually coming up with the mode as well. So I actually seemed very fitting.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I mean, Big Dunker came up with this mode, so he should have been the one who actually played this, but yeah, we didn't, at least I didn't know beforehand exactly what all the different pendants entail, so I was like, cross keys, yeah, sure, whatever, I guess I'll have to do it. So, but Falain is definitely, a very flexible player, so you can just throw whatever at him and he'll play it, which is very nice. Okay, there's the myth, so there's our East Death Mountain axis.
Yeah, alright, so we finally did find some more progression. It happens to be, yes, in this case for Turtle Rock, and with all of the keys, at least the small keys in the front, we were, of course, able to access all the way over here to Laser Bridge. And yeah, so picking up, of course, Myths and Cape. Cape's gonna be at least, pretty nice safety as well. But yeah, we have all the equipment necessary here in order to defeat Trinex.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a Trinex fight. No backdoor strats because of no boots. We're going to be stuck with hammering him from the front, which can be a little bit more RNG reliant. So we'll have to see how much Trinex is going to cooperate. We don't have any magic paths off lane side, I think. Yeah, there you see it, like, the head just unfreezes a little bit early. Okay, he does get the kill there, it looks like. Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, so of course, speaking of muscle memory, we did see Ravis, most likely unintentionally, saving Quit out of Death Mountain. Unfortunately, Ravis also does not have the hook shot. I believe this was his second trip around in order to access the torches. Looks like he is setting himself up into a death warp. I'm hoping in this case, in order to get back to the beginning of the dungeon a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot safer, despite you dying. But it's better than trying to go back and waste a lot of time and just die by the roller anyway. So it definitely makes sense to kind of pseudo mirror out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a little bit slower over managing to go back through the roller.
Yeah, so unfortunately, no, whatever, tempered sword. I guess, we did see a sword on the Desperate Torch. We haven't found that fourth sword yet. Of course, our runners would certainly like to be able to, get a bit more firepower. Of course, we are still looking for those boots, which would be super swell in order to have. But you know what? The lane at least has found the next version on Laser Bridge. He found Mist, which of course is going to give us finally some light world access here on Dark Mountain.
Yeah, another huge batch of items. Another lot of climbs through Paradox Cave as well, probably, in order to do Mimic Cave, Spiral Cave.
Yeah. So
Hera.
That's right. We can finally access Hera. We can actually, access Paradox Cave. Oh, Fillane, look at that! At 1 hour and 4 minutes, we finally found the boots on Fillane's side. Oh man, what a sigh of relief here.
Insurmountable advantage for Fillane right now.
Finally, the fun can begin, right? In the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
Yeah, and of course, this is also one of those, trademark things that you don't really get to see Paradox too early here in Inverted. Certainly this season's not been too much of an exception, but at least, we get to get at least some goodies here and make some more checks. Hopefully Temper Sword is just going to show up here, and that would be, and then Delay's going to be just super set for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that would be great. Even if we find food or something. Oh, never mind. We found a tempered.
Yeah,
Okay.
All right. So we're never gonna go back to desert for that torch sword, basically, unless for some inexplicable reason, the runners, in this case, feel more comfortable with both swords. But I mean, given the caliber of these runners, I just don't ever see them going back.
No. That's torch is that to Fillane at least already. All right. So this Paradox climb number 1. Probably going to see Hera into Spiral Cave, and if we find Mirror, then we're going to get another climb at some point in order to get to the back. Oh, never mind. I'm silly. We already did so. I think Inverted is really destroying my brain right now.
Yeah, no, I mean Inverted is actually very, it can be actually quite different. But looks like at least
how often do you get to do Turtle Rock before East Death Mountain? It just doesn't happen.
No, exactly. Yeah, and actually in this case, Inverted also typically, you at least have some sort of access to at least one other location, inside Turtle Rock. And in this case, it was just really just front to back. It wasn't too much difference in this case. Normally, we've had Trinex kill right before, basically exploring the beginning, basically, or the middle of Turtle Rock.
Yeah, it definitely happens a lot, or just having to explore the middle, by the middle, or just doing Laser Bridge first. It is front to back and inverted. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. This isn't real.
Alright, looks like the lane trying to get around Dead Rocks, but after getting through Spiral Cave, he is finally going to make his over to Tower of Hera, which of course is another crystal. Good thing we ended up picking up that big key to Hera on Desert Ledge earlier, because we have no hook shot, so we're going to do this the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, we might I think Chess did deduce that hookshot was necessary in order to full clear ice. But we might not actually need the hookshot, like, in the sense of completing the seed. So we'll have to see how all this goes.
So do you happen to know if the lane feels comfortable getting past Moldom 2 without the boots or the hookshot?
On certain days, yeah. I'm not sure
Okay.
I'm not sure how he feels today. Like, he definitely can hover, but it's not like a very consistent skill for him.
Okay, alright. So, you know, he did end up getting boots at basically at the 1 hour mark, so hopefully, he hasn't, like, gotten too much rust, basically, from not being able to use boots since the beginning.
Yeah, he just made sure that his A button, like, is rested, like, it's not too worn out right now.
That is certainly a very good point. I can't, in this case, stress that too much. Ravis does need to be a bit careful. You know, we do see the hammer on the fact that is definitely not going to be the most reliable hitboxes. Even though he does have red mail, he is actually in one-hit KO mode if he gets hit by one of these heads.
Jeez, that was really close. He was up in that face.
Looks like the Ravis is going to try and take this a bit more conservatively, of course, trying to keep some distance between himself and the head of Trinex. The body is going to be okay, because I think it maybe does like, what, a quarter of a heart at this point on red mail, but that head is very dangerous for Ravis.
Hey, Ravis. Please.
Okay, okay, Ravis made it through the fight, which is certainly this is very good because, there was no safety door taken, so he would have definitely been, worked back to the very beginning of the dungeon. Alright. Crystal catches here on both sides. So of course, with those myths on Ravis' side, he is going to comfortably, in this case, follow up. Hopefully he's going to visit Mimic Cave first, so he can also get those really lucrative boots that he has been missing for basically an hour and 10 minutes of the seed.
Oh, that's interesting. Doing it via the bottom. Huh.
Is this, do you happen to know if this is like faster, or?
I'm trying to calculate that in my head right now, but I'm having a hard time. To me, it just is an extra paradox cave climb, so I'm not sure how excited I am about this.
Okay. maybe Ravis wanted to balance it out. He did make an extra, Dark Death Mountain climb, on earlier, so maybe he just wants to make sure that, that there's parity here on also East Death Mountain as well.
Interesting part about Mimic Cave having the boots is that the first chest of Hookshot Cave is in the logic now, but
yes,
it's kind of awkward to get to.
Alright, so the lane ended up finding out that, of course, there was an item in here basement, but at this point it is really tedious in order to get back here too, so he is certainly going to be just as good clearing out the full place. Looks like he is going to go back to Hookshot Cave though with those boots.
Alright.
Alright, Ravis though also picking up his Temper Sword, matching his golden armor with Sonic, so he's certainly looks to be, set for the rest of the season.
It looks like we're gonna see a few hover attempts here.
Yeah, alright, so this could certainly be practice if we never find that hook shot at the lane side. Looks also pretty good, at least for the start.
Oh, look at that! Flexing a little.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but it looks like with the lane having the mirror out as white item, looks like he did end up picking up that from Hera, so that is certainly going to be a lot more access available to us.
Just gonna give a few more attempts probably to get to the last chest.
Oh, poor Ravis though has not visited Mimic Cave, so he is unfortunately going to be walking the rest of his trip here in West Death Mountain.
Yeah, you hate to see it. A little bit of unfortunate routing on Death Mountain so far, but you'll be able to get his mirror. Eventually, probably get to the rest of the items on East Death Mountain as well. Okay, looks like Flame is just going to check Spectrock Cave, and then commit to Spike Cave, and I think that's pretty much all of Death Mountain then in one go. which is very nice.
Yeah, no, that is certainly really, really efficient for the lane. You know, also having the boots early, you know, for these trips, you certainly see that his back and forth ventures, you know, between East and West Death Mountain, certainly it's been made, you know, a bit faster with those boots.
Yeah, our next options aren't super clear though. I guess we can have like the boots checks, and maybe Flame wants to combine those with like his powder check that he has had outstanding for a little bit now.
Oh yeah, I think we can also do Smith Chain at this point as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that also might be just more incentive in order for the lane to go back and do some more overworld check and checking out that powder, because you know he did end up picking it up early, and it still just might be on his mind.
Yeah, on the other hand, he might also want to check whether or not he needs another medallion, like either for Meyer.
Yeah, that's right. So with, of course, you know, the mirror, we do have Dr. Palet's access via the book. We can actually go over now finally to the Meyer area. And, you know, for all we know, hopefully we don't need any more medallions.
Yeah. Sadly, we also still need both the Eastern and the Meyer Big Key, which can be in some pretty nasty locations, actually.
Yes, that is certainly true. Alright, Ravis, of course, finishing up very quickly his Tower of Hera and claiming his next crystal, so for his sake, I certainly hope he picks up the boost, but you know what? The lane with those myths, checking out King's Tomb. Look at that area, we found another big key that we need.
Yeah, now we really hope that Ravis goes back and finds those boots, because...
you are 100% correct, because you know what? We do have myths now, so we can at least get into King's Tomb, or sorry, get into the outside of King's Tomb, but in order to get in, we're gonna definitely need something to give us a bit more speed. Alright, it looks like the lane's gonna at least commit to some overworld stuff. Maybe he does have that powder in mind, as you mentioned. So it looks like he's checking out the Sanctuary area with Bomb Procs and Keystone. Certainly something much commonly seen, you know, like 10 minutes into the game, or 6 minutes into the game, or something like that. Oh, did the lane never do chess game? Maybe I must have missed this. Oh, maybe he just didn't have enough money at the time, man.
He definitely didn't, but Elaine, really?
Team meeting, please.
Yeah, alright, yeah, so this of course is one of the benefits of having a fellow teammate carefully analyze the race from the commentary booth. Can't slip through a single thing from Ari.
It's funny, because we were commenting on Ravis's 40-minute food check, but yeah, Fellaini just decided to have to one-up anyway.
Alright, this is going to be really good news, of course, for Ravis. Hopefully he's not going to kick himself too hard, you know, earlier, because he could have gotten these, you know, I guess on the first Hera trip, whatever, East Mountain trip over here. But, you know, it's not going to be too much of a time loss. Basically just one back and forth at this point.
Decides not to go for Spiral Cave at all, just saving a solid minute. That's a good decision on Ravis' end.
Alright, so, you know, we have so much access now, you know, finally, you know, the seed was kind of, I won't say necessarily like linear, but it certainly was not very generous with its progression, right? We basically went with, I don't know, 50-some minutes of, here is the one next thing that hopefully will get you to, you know, the next piece, right? And then finally, basically, the last point of issue we needed was the lamp off of Green Pendant, which was in Popular. And then, you know, from Dark Death Mountain, we ended up getting what, the mirror, the myths, the boots, right? So now finally, basically, you know, we have access to pretty much the rest of the seed.
I was realizing that we have the 5-6 crystal, which definitely makes a lot of sense to check as well. Oh, he had...
is this gonna be...
That was spicy. A couple buffers. Yeah, just making sure we get to the 0. Okay. Now we get to walk around, because there's no way you get over the bridge. Okay, yeah, or we just mirror again. I guess that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is gonna be good. So we're actually gonna get some new checks here on Ravis' side with Pyramid Fairy. He is also gonna pick up his powder as well. So hopefully, maybe that'll also incentivize for him to do some of the same things that Fellaine has been doing as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice though. Fellaine will be able to combine this check with his Maya area check. It's a little awkward because I'm sure he would love to do just Eastern first, but this will work out in the end.
Yeah. You also do bring up a good point, right? In that, Eastern Palace does have another item available. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright, so we did end up finding, of course, Ether and... Oh, was that the Meyer Big Key?
No, it was the Thieves Biggie.
Oh, it was the Thieves... Okay, alright, okay, sorry. Must have also missed that. That was the Meyer Big Key. That would have been, would certainly been, Fellaine needs to get back to Pyramid Fairy at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. But that medallion can certainly make a difference. We're going to see basically what the entry is on, Fellaine's side very shortly. That Thieves Town Big Key, though, very, could be good or bad because, it does give Ravis access in the back of Thieves Town, which of course could still hold the Meyer Big Key, but also could just be bait.
Well, we definitely need one of those items in Pyramid Fairy.
Okay, so we did see for certainly that Pyramid Fairy is required this time. We cannot get around our requirement into fire. Oh no!
Bicky Shovel is the worst.
Oh man. Speaking of the next big key, we did find, of course, the big key to Swamp Palace on the lane side. Man, oh, is this like? Oh man, how tempting is this going to be, Ari?
Not as tempting as it would be for Ravis, because I've heard that Ravis loves his hookless swamp.
You know what? That is also very excellent.
Alright. Which way do we go? Oh, we're going to... Oh no, we're going to turn into Mushroom, okay. I'm getting heart attacks in this race.
Yeah, no, this is... And Ravis also showing us that we've got some apples that he says just leave off the ground. Man, certainly it's only no fruit lover on Ravis' side. This is quite the divergence because we're so what do we need? So we know that we need Ether on Fellaine side because we saw that on when he scattered at Misery Mire, that was the requisite medallion entry, and of course we saw that on Ravis' side it wasn't at Pyramid Fairy, so eventually Fellaine has to go there. But I guess we still need a Mire Big Key. Is that all potentially we need?
Yep. Definitely.
Well, that Mire Big Key. Well, so it can't be in the big chest, of course. In Misery Mire. What else could it possibly not be, Harry? This seems like a Mire Big. This seems like a Big Key that could be quite elusive.
Can't be in GT.
Cannot be in GT. That is also a good point.
So I guess that's reassuring.
Yeah, although this is going to be certainly good news for Fellaine, he is also going to explore out Pyramid Fairy. It looks like at least Fellaine has been pretty consistent. He has basically done most, if not all, of the overworld checks. And this is going to be certainly looks like no exception. He is not going to isolate any of these locations.
Yeah, so if the Mire Big Key is in Eastern, then Ravis will have like a couple of minutes advantage. Like he's gonna have his hope up. Aww.
Yeah, that's right.
Anywhere else though, and I would say the Fellaine probably has a little bit of an edge. But like having done the Smith Chain already, I don't know how tempted he would be to like pull clear Skull Woods before something like Thieves Town or like even Swamp. Who knows?
Yeah, no, this is certainly a very good point, and also, Fellaine could also have in the back of his head that I wonder where that lamp is, because he certainly still doesn't have it from that green pendant turn-in, and I don't know if he's necessarily concerned about any type of like logical implications.
Thanks, Lane. I appreciate the gesture.
Alright, so it looks like though Ravis is going to be the first of our two runners into taking on Armos. Hopefully he is not interested in death warping out early because this is a requisite crystal boss that he does need to defeat. Red Mail, of course, certainly does help on many things, like, for example, like Stalfos, but, against these Igors, it is not going to be any difference whether you have green mail, blue mail, or red mail. Always going to be one part.
Yep. definitely very dangerous enemies, and especially at the point where you usually are in the game. But sometimes in rando, you're gonna have silver arrows and red mail,
Yeah, that's right.
13 hearts. Well, definitely 13 hearts then.
The lane is very, very shortly behind Rivas, so he's going to basically enter Armos, and you know, of course, he does not have the lamp. I do not envision the lane having too much of an issue here. Well, it looks like he ended up remembering to. Oh,
no, he remembered it.
Oh man, the lane! It was so close. It's like, oh yes, let me check the victim. No, 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 no. We don't need to because Armos does have the last item.
I was doing so well with regards to the Ambrosia thing.
Yeah, you know, if only that the big chest was in the dark room because Link didn't have the lamp, so we would have never have to see whether Meki would have backtracked to it.
Alright, what is this going to be from Raiders? This is going to be Swamp or Mire. Okay, it's not Swamp.
Yeah, looks like it's gonna be Mire. So Ravis, of course, does have all of the medallions. He does not need to scout anything out. So potentially speaking, is this actually going? So this might be just a Mire check, maybe, before going back over to Swamp. But
I think if you're in the area anyway, like it makes a lot of sense to just go into Mire. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Like, do you think like Ravis in this case, you know, would be basically willing to go in at this point?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's kind of like looking for Ice Rod in Turtle Round. Like at some point in the siege,
Yeah,
you have so much open that you might as well just go in.
Oh, alright. Alright, Ravis picks up his Vicky too. Not Mire. Oh.
We need face cams. We need more face cams.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, dude, SGL was so cool, right? Of course, you know, both the lane and area ended up participating, and it was really cool. Basically, see both of them, you know, have that reaction.
Alright, for lane. Oh, what's this going to be? I guess it's just going to be Thief Stand then. Interesting.
That looks like it is certainly the case. Alright, so we actually have quite a bit of divergence here between two inside green-looking dungeons. One is going to be a pendant, which of course Link does have, and this is the big key too. This versus on Ravis' side. So Ravis ends up finding the big key and Mystery Mire here inside Mire. Ravis is actually going to be a really nice spot here in the siege. But of course, if Lane ends up finding it, you know, certainly the skill is going to be tipped off to the lane. Man, this is so tense. Where is this Mire big key, man? Oh, but like, oh man, that dash was so good. Except these enemies just had to get in the way.
Yeah, sometimes Hellway is just brutal. It's nothing yet. Yeah, it could be anywhere at this point. There's so many nasty spots left. I mean, there isn't even that much left, but something like Left Side Swamp, Hookless.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty awful. Mm-hmm. Oh, unfortunately, the bomb. I'm not sure if the light just threw it too high or it just ended up okay. Alright, because sometimes bomb hitboxes can be a little bit finicky, but at least, you know, it's very, very good for the lane that he realized on that, because there certainly have been cases where you throw the bomb, you think the floor is exploded, it didn't, and then you don't end up finding out until you've actually tried to deliver the mate into, you know, the boss room, and then you're just very sad.
Where's the light gone? Alright, no cutscene just yet. Alright. Another small key. What's it gonna be in Blind Cell?
So many small keys.
That's safe. That doesn't do anything. Okay.
That doesn't. Yes. It's like we got so excited that normally you get to see the flute, and of course the flute, because we already have Mire access, doesn't do us anything. The flute, of course, is only active in the dark world, so you can flute for some potentially faster travel in the dark world in order to maybe get yourself better acquainted in the light world. But in terms of actual progression, it is not going to do us any good.
I don't even think there's enough left in this world to really to really make the flute activation worth it.
Yeah, you know, and it's also right, and that's also a good point because you have to activate it in the light world as well. I mean, I guess they do have the mirror, but the lane's already in the dark world, so he has to basically find a light world portal in order to activate it and then, you know, use it. So, I mean, that is actually a non-trivial amount of time.
It's not a Mire game, or have we seen the map chest? I guess not. Frick is not immediately baiting.
Alright, the lane, I don't think it was necessarily too close, but ooh,
Oh.
oh man, I don't know, is this good or bad, Harry? So we found the hook shot here on blind. Okay, logically speaking, of course, we do need that hook shot. Oh my gosh! Oh my god! Dude, what a tempting! Oh my god. Alright, so Ramus did find a big key. It's the Skull Woods. Is he just gonna go beeline basically to Skull Woods? Because, you know. My heart, Ari.
That's absolutely awful.
Oh my god.
Like my heart stopped for a second.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the game.
Oh my gosh. And of course, you know, not having done the back of Easttown, you know, Ravis also does not have that extra incentive to go over into Swamp Path. Oh my gosh, dude. Alright, so
real close.
This is gonna be quite something. Alright, so with the lane, of course, having cleared out all the back of Easttown, we just see him pick up the hook shot off the blind. He's gonna be able to have access to this entire part. So if in this case the big Heated Mire is in the front of Swamp, Ravis will have a little bit slower time getting it, but he'll at least be able to have access to it. When is he? I don't know if Ravis has any, I guess, like teammates or anything, or knows that he can get through that Molten 2 gap. But right now, it might actually hinge basically on that hook shot then for the lane versus Ravis here.
Oh, this is unbelievable. This could be super close.
I know, this is so tense, man. Alright, but I think at this point, like, do we know, or we think we're reasonably certain that the big Heated Mire is here somewhere? Because we've seen, you know, everything in Mire on Ravis' side, and we've seen it back of Thievestown on the lane side.
Well, it could definitely be either on Ted or in Skull's big chest.
Oh, right, that's...
We did find that Skull's big key in Mire.
Yeah, what terrible location, man. Alright, Ravis, though, of course, just very slightly, you know, screens ahead right now of the lane. So we did find anything of value, of course, in the first chest. We're going to try to make our way over to the Compass chest, which is the south. I guess, well, okay, so if you're Ravis, you're definitely doing left side because you have no access to the back of Skullwood, to the swamp. What do you think, I guess, for the lane? Do you think you'll just go immediately to the back?
Like, just for a minute it would make sense, but like you have to wonder if Elaine thinks whether or not Ravis did go into Thievestown earlier. It's like maybe he just hedges his bets and it's like, okay, if he doesn't have it, he would go to left side first, so I'm gonna do left side first, make sure I don't lose too much time over him. And if he doesn't have hookshot anyway, then I'm ahead anyway, so I'll just do the back later.
That is really, that's very reasonable thinking. Alright, second chest is 300 rupees, which of course at this point we're not going to need the money for. We have half magic, which is convenient, but looks like the lane is going to head back here. And just check out the third chest. Ravis, though, fortunately, of course, not having the hook shot off the blind, he has no other option, of course, than to do left side without the hook shots.
Alright. You're a big Team Hime fan. You're oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Alright, so the lane has one more thing that he has found in the back of Swamp Palace, which of course is the shovel. But yeah, as you were saying, Ari, if you are a Team Hime fan, you are certainly really rooting for the big key to Swamp Palace to be here on left side.
Of course, if you're just a massive troll, you're hoping for it to be on pedestal or something. And, well,
man.
we're gonna be here for a while.
Yeah, let's not think about these types of options until, you know, hopefully we've at least explored a bit more of the dungeon. Alright, of course, no hookshot means that we can't possibly screw up this block, and of course show off some swag. Alright, lane getting through phase 1 and phase 2. Nicely done. Our motive. What is this And what is Argus gonna drop? Oh, that's right, it's an item. Alright, Argus drops, of course, a pendant, which is the lane's pendant here, maybe showing some solidarity. So is the lane gonna go back in? And what first item here on left side swap is 10 arrows.
Did we find the map?
You are correct. I guess I didn't notice. Well, I guess we're gonna get confirmation really quickly here on Raven's side.
Okay, we did find a map, so it could be right here on the left side. Flame is not checking the shovel. Oh, but it's the compass!
Oh,
We didn't find the compass!
Oh man, alright, is that? Oh, I hope Raven doesn't feel too bad in this case because. Well, actually, no, he doesn't know. He needs to know. He doesn't know that he doesn't have the hook shot. So for him, this is a very reasonable check. Alright, so it's not a swamp unless it's on the shovel, of course. Oh man, but looks like the lane though has decided that, you know what, I'm going to pretend that the big key mire here is in Mystery Mire, just like the ice rod is in Turtle Rock. And, oh man. So he's gonna pick up, I guess, his big key to Skull Woods. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, and then he's probably gonna do Skull Woods and Pulpit.
That's right, he does have the pendant here from Argus, so that's certainly going to be another option for him as well. Ravis, though, looks like he is going to try and chase the rest of his Overworld checks. He does have the powder, of course, he picked up from Pyramid Fairy. Going to probably turn in this case, do the Smith Chain, and then he'll head up to Skull Woods. And maybe actually Thieves Town, since he does have the big key now.
Yeah, definitely. Like, he's probably going to try to combine things as much as possible. The thing is, like, what is he going to do after the hookshot? Like, is he just going to go back into Swamp? Or is he actually going to go to Hookshot Cave and, like, clear the rest of Death Mountain that he, like, orphaned for a while?
Oh, yeah, that's certainly a very good point, because it looks like at least, you know, Rayless, after getting the boots out in the cave, what, the second, I think, or so trip up there to Death Mountain, he saved and quit, and that means actually then the locations that were actually in this case boots and Hookshot Lock were actually isolated. So that is another incentive, but man, another mountain climb, that is certainly not incentivizing.
Yeah, it's not great. It's definitely not great. But yeah, what isn't great either is probably the feeling of both these runners.
Yeah, no, that is a really good point. So you're like an hour. So this scene has gone on for like an hour and 34 minutes now, right? So you didn't pick up the boots until basically like the hour 5 mark, hour 10 mark, or something like that. You have been chained so much in this case, you know, basically from one piece of progression to the next, and suddenly everything's opened up for you, and you are just really hunting. Basically, how long have you hunting for this Mr. Meyer Vicky? For the last, I don't know, like 10 minutes or so. Well, you've been the emotion of roller coasters, right? It's like, how many big keys have we found? Big key to Skullwoods, big key to Thieves Town. You know, so like, this is my big key. No, this is not my big key.
Brave is making good use of his new auto tracking skills and making sure that he marks the mushroom that we just found.
Oh my gosh, dude. So you're right. So just for some backstory, you know, as mentioned before, Ravis, of course, and as well as the lane, did participate in SGL 2021, and of course, Ravis's last match against Kyung was unfortunately resulted in him overlooking the mushroom when he was clearing out Swamp Palace. Yeah,
yep.
and he got 3 basically, you know, major items back to back to back, and I believe it was just so exciting that I think he ended up forgetting that he had the mushroom, and that was the last piece of information for him. So now, yeah, lesson learned that he's not going to forget it ever again.
Quick, Flame, turn on your cam. I want to see your reaction to this. Oh. Alright, probably straight to Skullwoods it is. Damn. That shovel is just looming though. It's still out there. So are we going to see Flame just immediately go into the light world? Yeah, we are. He's gonna go into the light world, go to the back of Skullwoods, kill Moth, Pulped.
Which would you check pet first here? Because you are in the light world, I guess. Or I guess, but if you haven't found the big key yet, then I guess you would just do it regardless. Because Mothula does have an item, and you have the green pen to turn in.
Well, you need to kill Moth to get the pet, so...
Oh, right. No, I'm saying that if it's not on the pedestal. Like, but I guess
Oh.
you would still do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you check pet first, sure. I guess.
Alright, okay. Is this gonna be a pedestal seat after all this time?
Oh.
It is not! Alright, so certainly no value here for pulling the pedestal. We already have red mail. We're up to 15 hearts on the lane side. I'm not certainly gonna miss another heart container. Also, kudos to the lane. Not mirror bonking when he eventually goes back to the skull blitz. That is actually a surprisingly difficult thing to do.
That actually means that it's either Skull's big chest or on the shovel then, right? Do we have anything left?
I don't think we have anything else left, do we? I mean, we already seen the back of course, the back of Swamp Palace from the lane, you know, ends up having nothing of value for us. We've already seen Catfish, we've seen Zora, we've seen, you know, so much Overworld stuff already. Yeah, but I think right now, like, we did have the shovel, we have not turned that in yet, and we don't know what's in the big chest of Skull Woods.
Yeah, on Raven's side, I can definitely see just checking out Skullwoods first before committing to any of the hook choices.
Yeah, no, that's really, I think, a good point. Just because he is in Thieves Town, he's gonna finish this up. He's gonna get his hook shot, which of course, hopefully he's not going to, you know, kick himself too hard because he's already tipped Swamp Palace the first time without it. But he is, as you said, very close actually to Skullwoods, right? So he can certainly just run up there from where he is now.
Yeah, Blaine's gonna find his last Skullwood small key in here, and yeah. Oh, I never thought about cape dashing there. That's brilliant.
Alright, so is team meeting cancelled? Or is this something else that we're gonna bring up here?
Oh, what are we doing now?
Right, maybe the lane just wants an easier version back to Skullwoods, like,
I
or a
guess.
faster way to get back to the big chest. Oh, Ravis, actually looks like he is at least going to activate that flute. I'm not quite sure if he's actually going to use it. As you mentioned before, Ari, there's not going to be too much overworld travel left. Alright, big moment of truth here for the lane. Is it in the big chest of Skullwoods?
It is not!
It is not! Oh, man. Oh, alright, so it has to be then on the... Is shovel time?
Yeah, he still has to turn green pen in the swamp. And he hasn't checked left side swamp, so I don't think he's gonna come back to left side swamp before anything else, but...
Alright, looks like the fact that he's running out of Lost Woods, going through Kakariko means that we are gonna probably check that shovel spot. This has to be it, right? Like, we don't have any more fetch quests in order to chase after this?
I think so?
If it is actually here on the shovel, which means the hook shot actually was required, right? Because the shovel was in the back of Swamp Palace, and 100% we need that hook shot off of a pendant blind.
And Brave's going back to Death Mountain, and there it is!
There it is! Alright, hour and 40 minutes! The lane has dug up his Go Mode Big Key to Mystery Mire. We can certainly finally go back and defeat Mystrius, or at least even get back to him, and we can finally go beat the game. Yeah, it looks like though, as you mentioned before, you know, Hookshot Cave, of course, was certainly up in a spot that Ravis could not access before, and so he is right back here because maybe actually this is pretty reasonable because this is going to be 4 items that he did not have access to, and it's also maybe his most item-dense option. Yeah,
definitely, and he can decide to go to Spiral Cave now as well, which definitely makes a little bit of sense. If you're here anyway. Then again, he might just feel, okay, well, if it's in Spiral Cave, then I probably lost anyway.
Oh, right, that's right, we did have Spiral Cave as well. As for what it's worth, because Ravis had also activated the flute, he can't actually get back to Mire just a little bit faster than Flame. We actually did see him kind of having to run over here in the light world, go through a desert, and then, you know, come back. But of course, with Ravis, he could just flute over to flute spot 6.
Yeah, definitely true.
I don't know if that bonk was intentional to get the fairy, but that was certainly very convenient on Rivers' side.
It's definitely very swag too.
Yeah. Alright, so of course, you know, actually after all this time, the lane still doesn't have the lamp.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, we know that
Yes.
on Ravis' side it was from the green pen tournament. Looks like he's gonna try and set up what, the alternate version, or maybe is this the original version of Spooky?
Yeah, this is the original one. Like, it's kind of tough to set up in the dark though. Kind of having a hard time. Okay, I think he did get the hit. I'm not sure how he's going to do this room. Oh, it doesn't matter because you don't need to hit anything. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing this commentary, but I'm definitely spreading a lot of misinformation. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh no. I mean, let's see if in this case if the link can actually get through. I didn't hear anything on the switch activated.
Alright, so Rave's gonna turn in his lovely mushroom. That he was really happy to find. Let's get a few bombs in return, I think.
Yeah, the lane, of course, already making his way over to Vitreous. He's got silver arrows and Temper Sword. Certainly not even going to take the time, of course, in order to get the fourth sword off of Desert Torch. We don't need it at this point, but this should be a very straightforward Vitreous fight.
Very nice. He doesn't have a lot of arrows left. He needs to be a little bit careful. Yeah, especially.
I was gonna say, I'm not sure if he's actually concerned with ammunition at this point because he ended up just firing another arrow for the wall for good measure. Oh man, Ravis though, this was also something that Ravis had not done. This is going to be actually some more time giving back to the lane because, you know, this of course is another option for him, which is Catfish. What a seed, huh, Eric? What a journey that we have had in this last like hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the game just wants you to maximize your gameplay, and that's what we got.
Alright, so I do see a good number of numbers here in chat. Feel free to put in your guess for where you think that GT Bigkey is, because unlike all the other Bigkeys that we've seen here scattered about in the world, one feature of Ambrosia is that the GT Bigkey is always going to be in GT somewhere, so no more of this. We only have to do one Meyer Bigkey hunt, you know, for the game, no reason for another one. And of course, the lane also showing us that Ganon's Tower, of course, is not on your traditional location here on Death Mountain. That is actually, of course, Agnum's Tower, and of course, we are going to go into the inverted location, which in this case is Castle Tower location.
Much better decorated as well.
Yeah, it's prettier, it's lighter. And of course, for those of you who may be more familiar with playing Mystery, that signpost also does tell you how many, I think it's your crystal entry into how many you need for GT. Of course, in our case, it's always going to be 7. Alright, looks like the lane going to do right side first, getting his mirror out. Alright, check number 1 is green rupee, check number 2 is 10 arrows. We are going left.
It's going to be on the right side guaranteed at this point.
You know, hopefully it's not, you know, for our runner's sake, I hope that, you know, the Bigkey at least is going to be slightly early. Hopefully this is not going to be another one of those team meeting topics that you're going to bring up, Barry.
Oh, no. That's... At this point, I think he's suffered enough.
Yeah.
Both of them have.
Yeah, no, this was quite the scene. Alright, so it looks like though Ravis has explored out all of the remaining overworld checks that he has. Unfortunately, out of options, he looks like he is going to go back into Swamp Palace. I think he is resigned to finding, he's like, oh man, I guess I'm gonna try and find the Mystery Meyer Bigkey. Little does he know that the game has one more surprise in for him.
Yeah, it definitely was just an awful sequence of events.
Yeah, it certainly did not help. Of course, we did have some, you know, Bigkeys that were so tempting that were basically masquerading as our Bigkey. Yeah, and of course, the surprise, of course, that is going to come to Ravis here is that it is going to be the shovel. If the big key was, if the shovel was in the flooding room here in the back of Swamp Palace, Ravis giving it to muscle memories, like, oh yeah, no, I don't have to switch in this case.
Yeah, how often do you come back like this? I guess Ravis might do it more often.
That's actually a good point. But yeah, this is also another downside of having the shovel is that, shovel, even though we know it leads to the Meyer big key, again, Ravis doesn't know that, right? Because he's still going to pick up the shovel and be like, oh my gosh, this is another thing I have to go check, clear out Argus, and get everything, he can't basically even leave the dungeon early.
Yeah, that would be, like, really greedy. Like, maybe if you're truly, truly desperate, you might go for that, but... If Ravis counted items, he actually knows that he can skip... Yeah, he can skip this waterfall chest now.
Oh, nice job. Nice. That was the double menu. So, Ravis has certainly been on top of his item counts for this dungeon.
Not trying to pad his collection rate.
Alright, looks like the lane has been actively searching for this GT big key. Still has not found it yet here in GT.
Big key is still elusive for both runners.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice 0 cycle attempt on Ravis' part. Yeah, yeah, he's getting it. Very nice.
Yeah, we see some silver arrows action on both runner sides. Although I'm not sure if you noticed, like the line ended up shooting a silver arrow into Armos, but like it didn't hit or kill the first time. Like, do Armos like have some iframes or something like before, like at the beginning of the fight?
Maybe he shot too early and it hit before they started moving. Like,
they were moving for sure, but they weren't all like completely like spread out. So maybe he was just too early in that case.
Not sure. I might have to look at that again. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Ravis' actual last location at this point.
I don't think he has anything else in this case, so hopefully Ravis doesn't feel too bad. The lane though, maybe, hopefully he also doesn't feel too bad. So we also unfortunately did not find the GP key behind Ice Armos, so potentially against a different GT route, this could have actually saved a little bit of time if the big key is here. If it's a Byzantine room, it doesn't really matter.
Oh, okay.
Alright, I guess for what it's worth though, if Ravis takes his historical GT route, in the basement search at Big Key, I think he does a full left side, like all the way to Rando Room before heading back over to the right side. So it's not going to be make that big of a difference.
Alright, that's probably a little bit faster, but
it's not going to be like I'm going to go to Southwest Room and then mirror over and do right side.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
A little extended variation.
Alright, Ravis though, remembering that, after he picks up the Meyer big key, he does in fact need to finish Meyer. So we're gonna come back to Meyer, of course, a second time. Looks like the Populous though is giving a little bit of an issue, but otherwise it's gonna basically just go straight to the back.
Yeah, we'll have a little bit of an easier time in the dark rooms because he doesn't have to lamp.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is also a good point. Maybe a thing that might have been worth mentioning is that, of course, as part of the lane not having the lamp, he might have to be a little bit more careful with his magic usage. But he's got half magic from the big chest in Swamp Palace. I think he should be fine.
Yeah, he's shooting with no regards for his magic, so he knows he's safe. I don't think he bought anything when he was at the potion shop, but I might be wrong. He might have one backup potion just in case. But especially if you have silvers, I'm not really too worried.
Yeah, he has silvers, and he also does have powder, of course, so he's definitely going to be able to get his heart refill right before he faces off against Academ 2 and, of course, Ganon.
Not sure what went wrong with Ravis' spooky attempt. Maybe he stood a bit differently when fluting to 6.
Alright, the lane though, making some really nice progress here in the gauntlets. If he just has a couple more rooms, look at his magic bar rate is so full. He already has a fire out. I don't think he cares at all at this point for basically his magic meter.
Yeah, he's got a really solid gauntlet. Don't think he feels too bad about it. Especially considering the nerves you must be in, being in the gauntlet climb at 150.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I'm actually getting kind of curious now because, you know, at this point, as you said earlier, right, we were at like 1 hour and 35. We were still hunting for that Mario big key. Think of all the hoops and trials that both of our runners got. I mean, maybe they're just watching the race and be like, okay, when is my opponent going to dot done at this point, right? Hour and 50, hour and 52 in, you still don't see the dot done from your opponent. It's like, man.
Yeah, it feels, it's nerve-wracking.
The lane though, it looks like he's certainly keeping it together pretty dang well. Of course, doesn't even need, of course, to check the last chest because what else do we need? You know, we have silver arrows. He's got plenty, hopefully, with 14 arrows in order to take down Ganon phase 4. He's got temper. He's very, very confident that the lane is capable of doing the 1-1. Yeah,
Definitely hope so.
Yeah. Is there going to be another team meeting after this?
I'm going to spam the team meeting button.
Yeah, he is going to just be basically 2 bosses away from claiming victory here in this race.
Alright, this should be a solid pattern. Sadly, gets a bit unlucky with the agate pattern getting smashed into the wall. Rando also has like this weird quirk where sometimes agate 2 doesn't actually fire his shot, no matter like if it's an energy ball or a blue ball.
Really?
If he gets hit right before he is supposed to fire his shot. It's
really?
Yeah.
That's not a very good quirk.
No, it's a very bad quirk, but yeah, it's been there for a while.
Man, that is really unfortunate. Alright, it looks like the lane has gotten past. Alright, so Ravis, of course, is starting his big hunt. Looks like he is actually going to the left side. If he, of course, does stop us from over to Mir and Deal's Compass, you know, this is actually going to be, you know, quite a nice time save here over at the lane. But of course, he does full left. It's going to be a little bit of time.
Try and spin on Ganon. It's like a solid start for the 1-on-1. Does go for the dash strats.
Hey, we got those boots at the 1 hour mark. We're going to use them as much as we possibly can.
I mean, in that sense, it's good that the seat was so awful. Like, you got to use your boots for longer.
That is certainly true. We're almost basically at the halfway mark for when we were bootsless versus when we were not.
Yeah, it does look like the route he said that Ravis usually does. It looks like he still is going for it. On his way to Rando Room.
Yep. Right, yeah, meanwhile, though, the lane is just trying to get Ganon to hold still for this phase before we can land a couple of silver arrows into him. See, I feel like if you knock down Ganon in that shot right there onto, like, the side, he should also be able to take a Ganon fall. And then we should just...
Very nice triple at the end. I do agree with you. That should be a thing. So it's only fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge GG's to Fellain for finishing with 155 left. 55.01. GG's.
Yeah, GG's Fellain. Congratulations on finishing this seat. I'm not sure what other words we can use to describe it right now since we are a PG-friendly channel. What a trip. What a journey that both of those runners have gone through. This was quite the experience, I think, both from a runner's perspective and a viewer's perspective as well. The Ravis, though, unfortunately did not find it, of course, his GT big key. He is going to find it very shortly here in Compass Chest, or Compass Room.
There's one check that I forgot that Fellain actually still had open, aside from turning in Green Pendant. And that was all the so. Welcome, Fellain. GG's on the win.
Hi, Fellain. GG's.
Hello. GG's. Well, that was alright, huh?
Yeah,
so
just
were you happy that you finished before 2 hours?
I mean, I didn't really pay attention, but I think I was looking for the Maya Bicky for like half an hour or something. So not really happy, no.
It certainly felt like that. You and Nervous both were searching for that big key for quite some time.
Yeah, and there were quite some baits along the way as well, so I don't think there was any way that either of you were going to feel good with the way the big keys were laid out, because, like, I think the Feastown big key was in Pyramid Fairy or something together with Ether, so, like, it's very natural that you're just going to do other things that make a lot more sense on the way first.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I double-dipped Eastern, right, but that was still fine, I think, because at some point you have to make a decision, and for me it was at that point, like, do I clear out Light World and double-dip Eastern potentially, or do I go into Dark Pod, which I didn't want to do at that point, and yeah, and then everything kind of like came after each other, so it felt a little bit boring for quite a bit. Like that's not what you expect of like an inverted like key shuffle of any sort, right? And yeah, and then after like 6 crystals, the Misery Maya thing, where I think I had like all 3 pendants still open and like doable, because I somehow avoided Skullwoods, thinking, okay, maybe it's just lamp in there and I can just like skip it altogether. And yeah. But also Maiden Cell was kind of in the back of my head, because that went kind of unlucky.
Yeah.
Got a little bit too greedy execution-wise in that room, yeah. But yeah, it was pretty okay. Other than that, I think, apart from the Maya Bicky, and yeah, obviously, like at some point when you haven't found it after like 10-15 minutes, you start to feel bad. You think, okay, I have to make a play. Maybe my opponent didn't go into Misery Maya yet, and then you did Maya, and then I think he also did the same at some point, right? And then yeah, and then I clear the wrong pendant first, gives me hookshot. Well, I guess technically that was required, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the shovel's back there.
Yeah, and then I go into Swamp, I get the shovel. I'm thinking, I even thought, okay, after the Argus, if it's only one item on left side, I should go back to Light World, turn in the shovel, then head over to Maya, but I kind of forgot that I picked up shovel by the time I was done with Swamp for some reason. Yeah. And then just went into Maya, got nothing, then did Skullwoods for nothing, and then came back to Shovel Spot eventually.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
because at that point you only really had like Shuffle, Swamp, left side, Zelda's Cell, and Green Pendant left or something. Like you really only had awful stuff left aside from the shovel.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't count Zelda's Cell right now, it's only Green Pendant and 1 item on left side Swamp. That's it. Everything else is gotten, apart from Maya Big Chest item.
Oh, yeah.
was there any consideration, I guess, for you to do left side first in Swamp?
No, not really.
Yeah. Were you worried? Sorry, were you worried about at all about like Zelda's Cell? Because I mean that was I think fairly early in the siege, right? So I don't know how much you were thinking about that chest.
Occasionally when I thought of doing a location that kind of could have been routed in with that, like Pyramid Ferry, right? I thought maybe I should just like go there again and check it, because like I'm running out of stuff to do, right? And yeah, but at that point I thought, okay, if it's really in there, I probably already have lost or like am super behind, so I should just commit for this at this point.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
So, I think Ari did mention earlier that this was actually your pick of modes, and I believe what the consensus was that it was the least bad of all of the modes. And any comment on this particular choice?
I mean, I don't know. I think they're all not good. Let's put it that way. But in hindsight, I should have picked something else, because if it comes to game 4, I think Danke, as far as my opponent or our opponents told us, I think Danke has to play a mode he doesn't really like. So yeah, and I could have picked that instead, right? To make it like a higher chance that he doesn't have to play a bad mode for him, because I personally don't really care. And yeah, It was not super smart, but it's okay.
You know, this seed was really it was I would say quite challenging. So at least you definitely pulled through the seed.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about before going into the interview, like a good way to put this is like Peepo Steer, right? That's kind of how I felt playing inverted at some points, and also Ambrosia, because I usually don't really like Ambrosia, like just in general, not just the inverted version. And at times I did some confusing stuff, like the Eastern big chest, where I went up the stairs to the back, then I realized, oh wait, I have Vicky. Then went down and then realized, wait, it's only one item left on the boss. Then yeah, stuff like that. It's the small things, right? Like when you don't play the mode, like a lot of times, like these small things kind of throw you off at sometimes.
We did notice that when you were Eastern, but you did do a good job in Desert too, right? I don't think you ended up checking the big chest at all.
Yeah, I didn't need the big chest, but I got the small key and then realized while I got the small key out of the big chest, I realized, wait, I don't need this. So I guess I kind of like halfway realized.
Well, I mean, you regardless though, you did pull out a 2-0 win, and so I guess it's all up to Dunka in order to take this week for you guys.
Yeah.
We have all the faith in him. He gets to do the comfy casual boots, right? So.
Yeah, that's right. So unlike Youthaling, who didn't find boots, of course, for an hour, Dunka gets to start with them immediately. Alright, Ravis, though, finishing up his fight here with Ganon, taking second place, of course, in our race, and it looks like, actually, official time of 2 hours and 3 minutes and 3 seconds. GG, get your G's out in chat for Ravis. This seed was really not kind to either of our runners, so certainly a big congratulations to Narashi just to finish out the seed to begin with. Speaking of, GG's Ravis, welcome. Sorry about the seed.
Yo, GG's.
Hi, GG's.
Yeah, that was a bad Mayabiki location. I guess for both of us. But
yeah.
In general, it was a really bad spot.
Yeah, you definitely spent, I think the lane maybe estimated like 30 minutes. It certainly felt like that for both of you in order to try and search for that Meyer big key.
I mean, makes sense, right? The only thing I kind of hoped for was, I don't know how the lane routed the mountain, but for me it was either Spiral Cave or Mimic Cave. And usually I just jump down to Spiral Cave, but this time I chose Mimic Cave just to switch it up and hope I find something, and then it's the boots and it leads to the Eastern big key. And yeah, I don't know. Could have been way worse for me, but was still pretty bad with that Maribiki location.
Yeah, were you feeling confident that if the Maribiki like was not behind the hookshot or something, that you would have been able to get past Molding too? No?
No, I mean, I double dipped Swamp for nothing. I dipped Eastern against my will without the big key, which was unfortunate. But because we didn't know if Quake was really for Turtle Rock, and we didn't even know how far we can dip into the dungeon, then I made the choice to go in. And since we have one more potential item in general, it made sense to me for look there. But yeah, I don't know. Like my dip was unfortunate, Eastern dip was unfortunate, Swamp dip was unfortunate. Happens.
Yeah. Yeah, overall it's definitely seemed like the two of you did pretty much the same things, just in different orders. Yeah, it was just a lot of, well, we're gonna do the next logical thing, and we're just gonna hope it's not in the awful spot, and then it's in the awful spot. And yeah, mid-game was definitely just like following the breadcrumbs, like big key to another big key to an item to another big key, until finally you were kind of forced up on Death Mountain, but from there on out it's kind of opened up again. But it was definitely pretty interesting seed in a way that it didn't feel like a typical inverted seed, as like from a spectator's point of view.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious, Rayla. So after you dipped Meyer and you found the Thiefstone big key, any particular reason to do Swamp over Thiefstone? Is it just maybe Swamp was like closer to you at the time?
Yeah, that was the final thing that brought me into Swarm in the first place. But because we have 5 checks, right? We have 1 on Argus, so we have potentially 5 items in the front. And I knew the hookshot is not in GT since that whole Kane situation, I think, and key situation in Ice.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure about
right.
that right now, but at least that's what I thought in the game. And I didn't just want to find the hookshot at all. Like, I would have mulled on bonds, the lane would have hovered. I didn't even want it to be in hookshot cave, but yeah, I don't know. I was unlucky. Happens.
Yeah, no, but
I'm overall okay with my game stuff, besides like wanting to go to Spiral Cave and out of habit going into the portal and realizing nope, that's not where you gotta go this time. And stuff like that. And that pod thing that happened, that's the only thing that I was really really mad about. I got hit in an unlucky way, and then I had no idea where I was.
Oh, is that what ended up happening? Yeah, we were wondering actually if you ended up just getting like disoriented because you ended up getting hit early.
Yeah, I mean, at some point I was I had no idea where I was. But I thought I kind of figured it out, and then I got hit, and I had no idea where I got hit to. And then I had, I knew that the front chest was still in logic, and I said, you know what, try to death warp. If there's one item, you leave the other item in the dark mess, whatever. I lost so much time there already. And if it's not an item, well, then I guess I gotta go back. But yeah, turned out to be a hard piece or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. But yeah, huge GGs to the both of you. It was definitely quite the seed. So.
Happy that my Trinex fight got clutched in the end. And
Oh yeah, that's right. We were quite nervous, even though you had red mail at the time. It was
no,
still pretty dicey at the end.
Oh yeah, I had read it right. Sorry. Yeah, it was more about the magic. That was the last fire out shot I had, and was okay.
Yeah, definitely well played on a lot of the boss fights. So yeah, huge GGs to the both of you. Yeah, good luck in the coming few races for your team, but not too much.
Yeah,
we can say no, definitely that if it comes to game 4, that's gonna be Kermit, and as far as I know, that's gonna be Swordless, but he has to confirm that. I don't know exactly.
All right.
Okay, all right. This is good knowledge for both, of course, Team Hime and Team Era 16. So I guess I don't know if that's more or less pressure for Dunka, for him to potentially hopefully make this a sweep. But that is for you, Eri, and the lane and Dunka to decide.
Yeah, we'll just get a few team meetings together. But we'll whip him in shape. But yeah, looking forward to watching the rest of the team's races. But thank you so much for showing up and delivering a great race for us.
Yeah, no, this was like super intense to watch. Especially since you guys were both searching for the Meyer big key, for the last 30 minutes or so. So many big keys that were masquerading, before we could see the text. Right, this is a big key too, and we were, we had multiple, moments. Certainly.
Oh yeah,
Imagine you guys had the same thing.
Yeah, the one in Misery Maya threw me off. I thought for sure that was the Maya one, but it was Skullwoods, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
right, that's still out there.
That was really nasty.
Yeah, there were so many big keys in a row. The Thieves one in Pyramid Ferry, the Swamp one in Meyer's shift, then the Skullwoods one in Meyer. It's like, yeah, cool game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even did the cutscene chest before that chest with the Skullwoods big key, because I thought it's not gonna be in here either way, so I might route it more efficiently, I guess. And then I see the big key in that map chest, and I'm like, and then Skullwoods, and I was like, yeah, told you it's not here. So that was a little right.
Yeah, I definitely wanted some face cams for this race, but alas.
Yeah, this should have been SGL, man.
But yeah, but thanks for having us on the restream and for commentating. Thanks, Lorraine, for the race. GG's once again. And hope I kind of want to say hopefully not see you in the game 5 because it's retrans. But well, if Kermit wins twice, I mean, then I guess I have to play that mode. But whatever.
That is a problem for future Ravis.
That hopefully it is.
Yeah, I mean, okay, at least from a spectator's perspective, Game 5 against, between your two teams would actually be quite amazing. I'll reserve for, I guess, individual team sentiments. Maybe that could be in a future team meeting. But certainly, we would certainly very much look forward to more games between you guys. Yeah. Any final thoughts, I think, before we end up wrapping up?
Just the usual thank you guys for commentating. Always a pleasure to hear your voices after a tough seed. And thanks for tracking Daruk, thanks for racing Ravis, and hope you enjoyed the Arrow Lamos Claymores.
I enjoyed them up to the point where you switched back over to silvers. But sure. Yeah. I also, for thank you, the lane and Ravis. Certainly was. This was like one heck of a seed, one heck of a race to watch. Really, thank you guys for racing. You guys are, really excellent. Certainly appreciated the mushroom alert, Ravis. That was quite cute when it showed up on the screen. But yeah, this was amazing. If you guys haven't got a chance, the lane and Ravis are both really cool, great guys. Certainly give them a follow. Thank you, Daruk, again for tracking. This was one heck of a seed. You see how much stuff was lit up on the tracker, so he was definitely working extra overtime for us. Couldn't really do some of the stuff without him. Ari, thank you so much for commentating. Hopefully this wasn't too much of a time commitment. No one really expected these seeds to be so long.
Hey, you never know with inverted seeds.
That is true.
But yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun watching two cool people do an amazing race. Yeah, just hoping to be able to do it again sometime.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. Definitely look forward to to this. This was really fun match, a really fun time. Of course, as always with you, Ari. Right, and so of course, certainly thank for SpeedGaming for allowing us to be able to restream this. I think so I'm looking at the schedule, and it looks like actually, Dunka versus Kermit is actually going to be scheduled to be on Saturday, November 27th, Saturday at 1:10 p.m. Eastern. So I guess for those of you who basically everyone else here except me that's in Germany, it's going to be 7:10 p.m. In the evening. At least for tonight, though, we have, it looks like one more, or maybe two more random matches at 6:10 Eastern. It's going to be Tile Roomies versus Pug Trio as actually a re-race between RD Welsh and Solski, because their race for Crosskies was so close before. I think the official time was like 0.4 seconds or something different, something ridiculous. It was actually then considered to be a re-race, so that's going to be on later tonight in about an hour. And then hopefully, I think if we get a channel for this, it'll be Orange versus Zero Rush for another Action Virtual Scene. So stick around, watch more random. But until then, have a great evening, everyone.